quarter of Americans experience hearing loss due to everyday noise. Today, Dave Gellis, lead guitarist of rock band Blood, Sweat and Tears, shares his story and reveals how hearing loss has affected his life, along with audiologist Dr. Branda. Great to have you all on this morning.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right, first off, Dave, let's start with you. How has hearing loss affected you? And maybe when did you first notice it? How did it affect you then?
Well, I first noticed it, this type of hearing loss that I have it was from long-term exposure to a lot of noise. I grew up in the rock and roll era, and before I did it professionally, I was exposing myself probably like a lot of other people do by standing in front of speakers at concerts and going into clubs. And at the same time, I was starting to say "what" a lot. And when I would say "what," it would be followed sometimes with 2 or 3 more "whats." And at some point, I noticed that the people around me were getting it, and I wasn't getting it. And music started to sound dull to me. My treble controls on my stereos, I couldn't hear the difference as I moved them up and down. My TV was cranked up very loud so I could hear dialogue. And I don't remember the day, but there came a point where I realized something's wrong here.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Branda, hearing Dave's story there, he's a musician and he gets on stage a lot with loud music and so much noise around him. But what are some of the factors that cause hearing loss for other people as well?
So there are several things that can cause or contribute to hearing loss, different disease states or medical conditions and injuries, of course. But most commonly we see it with age-related hearing loss. So just as we get older, we see a decrease in hearing. And similar as Dave was talking about, repeated exposure to loud sounds and noise-induced hearing loss.
We've all heard of tinnitus, but could you describe exactly what that is?
So tinnitus or tinnitus, both pronunciations are okay, it's a perceived ringing in the ears. People talk about buzzing, chirping, ringing, and it's a sound that the individual's hearing that's not coming from an external source. So it's something they are hearing, but it's an experience for them, and usually described as ringing. It can be short or it can be longer lasting.
Interesting. So Dave, how has hearing aid technology helped you? Is it helping you in everyday life?
It's made a difference that's hard to overstate, actually. The latest generation of hearing aids is head and shoulders above what preceded it. I'm currently using a hearing aid called Celion, and the company that makes it is named Signia. This device is pretty remarkable. The ability to distinguish speech is outstanding. In addition to that, it has settings on it that if you find yourself in a noisy environment, say with people, a crowd of people around talking in a busy place, or maybe machinery running in the background, I can actually subdue the bed of background noise that's going on in order to accentuate the speech that's going on around me in a way that audiologists have told me is actually superior to the normal human hearing, which is amazing. In addition to that, I'm hearing environmental sounds that I only remember from my youth, things like birds chirping and the sound of running water. It's a total game changer for me.
That's great. Well, Doctor, what are some of the hearing technology advancements that Dave mentioned? I mean, what is available today, and how is it helping hearing loss or any of that we talked about with tinnitus?
So there's a lot of changes and constantly evolutions in the technology. 2 key things we focus on are audibility as well as comfort. So audibility, we want to hear clearly whether it's in quiet or even in noise. We have studies showing actually better hearing in noise than someone with normal hearing. And then we want comfort. We want to let people enjoy listening to hearing aids, even things like making music more appreciable. And then if we start to look at other aspects of the technology, miniaturization, let's make it very small, very discreet. Also, rechargeability. If someone has dexterity issues or we're used to just charging things overnight, we have rechargeable hearing instruments. And also, connectivity with their cell phone. So we have hearing aids that will talk directly with an iPhone, and you can take a call from the iPhone directly into the hearing aids. And then in regards to tinnitus, we actually have different capabilities in the hearing aid to help address tinnitus. So depending on what form of therapy someone may work with for tinnitus, the hearing aids can help that as well.
Awesome. And Dave, since hearing aids have helped you so much, what advice would you give people who are dealing with newly diagnosed hearing loss?
I would say to those folks, do not ignore this. The newest devices are tiny. They can barely be perceived. People who've known me for years aren't even aware that I wear hearing aids. It will put you back in the game in a way that you can't imagine until you do it. The loss was gradual. It took a long time. The relief is instantaneous. When you get properly fitted for a hearing aid that's working properly, you'll be at the top of your game at work, at home, in social situations. You will be enjoying music and hearing and experiencing the world around you in ways that you had forgotten about because it took so long to get to that point.
Wow, absolutely. And it's wonderful to hear that it is working for you. But before you go, to all the fans out there, I know that they're excited to hear what you've been up to in the music world.
About this time last year, I stopped doing Blood, Sweat, and Tears on a daily basis. I still go out and play with them from time to time when they need some help. And I'm busy in the local scene in the northern New Jersey, New York City metropolitan area doing all kinds of projects and kind of enjoying the next phase.
Sounds wonderful. And Doctor, before we go, anywhere you want to send our viewers to learn more information about getting their hearing back on track?
So to find some information, I always encourage people to talk to a hearing care professional, but to find some information online, go to our website at signiausa.com, and you can find out about hearing, hearing loss, and technology.
All right, thank you both so much. And also be sure to head online and check our website out. We will have this interview posted at foxborougghmorningblend.com.